Welcome, everybody. This is Eretmis Cyber Chats. We do this every Friday from 7 to 8. We try to stop at 8, but sometimes the conversation gets interesting, so we go a little bit past 8. I'm Dr. Emmanuel. I'm the founder of Eretmis Academy, and we do this Cyber Chats, to help promote cybersecurity education and cybersecurity awareness, and also to help anybody who wants to get into the cybersecurity industry. Right, this is an open forum. You can ask any question or any questions that you want, right? And the only stupid question is the question that you didn't ask. So don't think any question is stupid or is weird. We are here to learn from each other. So please feel free. But a little, housekeeping. If you want to ask a question, you can type it in the chat box, or you can raise your virtual hand and we will address your question or give you the floor to talk as we are moving on. Okay, so I appreciate everybody's time and everybody's effort in this trying time for myself and my family. I really appreciate everybody who is part of this community. And if you are new to this community, this is a big family. You can join Eretmis and you're never going to go wrong. Right, so we are starting off today. Predominantly what we're doing today is we are still continuing with our PCI education that we started. If you've not had the chance to take a look at some of our previous cyber chats on PCI, please do visit our YouTube site. It's Eretmis. If you Google Eretmis Academy in YouTube, you'll be able to find us. It has some good information on there. Now, today we will be talking about our new class that we will be rolling out from today, right? So enrollment will be open today for anybody and everybody who is interested. And also, because I've been getting some calls and some concerns about hands-on training or apprenticeship, sort of training. So, which is part of the course that we are running. But for people who have training from elsewhere, who wants to, benefit from that, we're also going to make a provision for something like that we're going to talk about today. Okay. But for today, for our discussion piece, we'll be talking about certifications in PCI, right? Certifications in PCI. So we know most of you are aware of certifications in cybersecurity in general, like CISSP, Security Plus, CAP, CISA, and all those. But when it comes to PCI, it's a bit tricky, right? How the certifications are structured. So we will be discussing that, and I think we will touch on almost all the certifications in PCI. Okay. All right. So if there are any questions, please put it in the chat as we're moving along. And after that, after the short discussion, we will give the floor to everybody to ask any PCI question that they might have or any concerns, right? And we'll also take a look at the PCI curriculum that we have in-house as Eretmis Academy, and also the structure of our new PCI course, and moving forward, how our PCI training is going to be set up. Okay, so I think there was one question in here. Let me take a look at that real quick, and then we'll move on. Can someone with, so this is from Patrice, my bad, Patrice M. Can someone with cybersecurity background do the internship without taking the course at Eretmis? So Patrice, I'll say yes and no, right? For the internship or for the apprenticeship, if you want to call it that way, is like it is going to be hands-on, right? Having a background in cybersecurity is good, is great, but what we'll be doing will be specifically focused on PCI. So if you have a background in cybersecurity, it is good for you to understand PCI, but if you've not had the training itself, doing the hands-on will be is doable, but there will be some gaps in your knowledge, right? That is frankly from my opinion. But if you want to go that route, maybe you want to do the extra work of catching up and filling in the loopholes by yourself, you can definitely do that. Okay, so yes, when we get to that point, maybe we'll talk more about it and you'll be able to get it well. So I hope my volume is good. Everybody is able to hear me loud and clear. You can give me a thumbs up. Okay. All right. Thank you. So we will start here shortly. We are rolling out our presentation, and we will talk about, some good cybersecurity certifications. Please give me 1 minute whilst I share my screen. All right, everybody. Welcome once again. Thank you very much. This is Eretmis Academy. I'm Dr. Emmanuel, and we are going to be talking about our new PCI class and some questions and answers. But before that, we are going to talk about PCI certifications. This is myself, a little bit background about myself. I was a former United States Army captain. I'm a cybersecurity consultant, cybersecurity, anything on everything that you can think of. I just, love everything and cybersecurity. Cybersecurity talk. I'm the owner of Eretmis Inc. That is a cybersecurity consulting firm based in New York. We are a QSA company, and a QSA company is a company that is certified by PCI to conduct PCI audits or PCI DSS audits, right? I'm also the founder of Eretmis Academy, where we train professionals to become cybersecurity professionals or to rise up in the ladder of cybersecurity. Okay, I do a lot of consulting, so I just love to talk about cybersecurity and anything, and also share my knowledge. I also have a very strong background in leadership and management, so and I also just love to motivate people and help push you in the right direction and motivate you and let you know that you can do it. Right? There is nothing that you cannot do if you put your mind to it. So we will be starting off with certifications in the PCI industry, right? Like I said earlier, most people are familiar with cybersecurity certifications and other IT certifications. In PCI, it's kind of tricky how it is set up, and probably most people are just they just know QSA in PCI, but there is more to just QSA certification in PCI, right? So we will start looking at these certifications individually. If you have any questions, you can type it in, or you can just jot it down. Once we are through, we will give you the chance to ask your questions, right? So we will start with the very common one that everybody knows, who is a QSA. So a QSA is a person who is certified or who is qualified to perform PCI DSS audits on a merchant or a service provider, right? So when we say a merchant or service provider, in cybersecurity terms, a merchant that requires a QSA to perform an audit on their infrastructure to make sure they are in compliance with PCI DSS is a level 1 merchant, right? And we're not going to get into all those details of who is a level 1, level 2, or level 3 merchant. Service providers are third-party companies that provide services to merchants, and if those services borders on anything that has to do with processing, transmitting, or storing payment card data. Okay, so when we say merchants and service providers, that is the simplest way of what we are referring to. So QSAs, they are auditors. They are certified by the PCI Council. But for you to be a QSA, you have to be working full-time in a QSA company. Okay, so your qualification or your certification as a QSA, the QSA certification is attached to a QSA company. So it is only a QSA company that can take you to the QSA training for you to get certified as a QSA, right? So you can be doing a QSA job without the certification, right? But for you to get that title or that certification, you have to go, a QSA company has to send you to PCI for them to certify you as a QSA. Now, some of the prerequisites, if you've been working in a QSA company and you want to get that qualification as a QSA, some of the prerequisites for PCI, for them to accept you, for them to take you through their training and their exams and everything, and to qualify you, is that one, you have to be a full-time employee of the QSA company. You should have some experience working as a security professional. And then also they require 2 certifications, right? One, leadership and management information security certification, and one information security audit certification. So for the leadership and management, it can range from CISSP, SIM, and other, similar ones. And for the audit side, CISA, ISO 2700, and one and other audit certifications. So you should have one of each. So one audit certification, and then one the leadership and management kind of certification in information security, right? So if you have any of those and you are working full-time in a QSA company, then the QSA company can take you to PCI, register you for you to take the training and sit for the exams and all that and become a QSA, okay? But if you become a QSA in a QSA company, once you leave the QSA company, you are no more a QSA, right? So let's say you leave Eretmis, which is a QSA company, and you go work for Kwame LLC, which is also another QSA company. Now, although you are leaving as a QSA to go work for another QSA company, once you leave Eretmis, Eretmis will take you off their list, or will let PCI Council know you are no more working with them, and they will take, or they will revoke your QSA status. Now, Kwame LLC, which is another QSA company, will have to take you back to PCI for you to qualify under them, okay? So that is how it works. Now, if you leave and you go work for a merchant, helping them with PCI assessment and PCI audits and spearheading their PCI program, you are no more a QSA. You are a former QSA, but you are not a QSA anymore, okay? So that is all about QSAs. Now we can move forward. Any questions on QSAs before we move forward? All right, so there was something in the chat. Okay, so Efren, let me address this real quick before we move on. Thank you for showing up, Efren. Efren was always, we put up the cyber chat for 3 weeks because, my mom passed away, and Efren was so gracious enough to always, ask, hey, are we having the cyber chat this week, Friday, so Efren, thanks for showing up. Let me address your question real quick. What are the entry level to mid-level roles in PCI DSS space, and what sources can we look into for description of what to expect for those roles? Okay, so Efren, I think we touched on this in our first or second PCI discussion, but we will take a look at it again. I think last time I gave a list of, or I'll email that out, a list of some of the PCI jobs that are out there. So I think it was 10 or 15. I sent it out to like most people. So you can take a look at, like, you can, go to those job descriptions and look at what is required of you. But mostly for entry level to mid-level PCI or even advanced, the main thing that you are going to be doing is you are going to help the organization to stay in compliance with the PCI DSS standards, right? Or the PCI DSS standard. Okay, so, okay, go ahead, Efren.
I may have missed that session, so if it's recorded, can you like email me the link, please, or
yes,
can you?
Yes, most definitely.
Thank you.
Most definitely, Efren. All right, and okay, Kwame, is your hand up or?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
so
go
I
ahead,
have
Kwame.
a question, and
Yes.
the question is, so does it mean we don't have a freelance QSA?
No, there's nothing like a freelance QSA. So good question, Kwame. Sometimes you see a job description, right? And it says as part of the qualifications, they need you to be a QSA. Really, they don't know what they are talking about, right? And mostly, like, you can't blame that because job descriptions are written by HR. HR is not a PCI person or a cybersecurity person. So mostly it's just copy and paste. If Kwame is an HR person in company A and I'm an HR person in company B, and I want some, like I've been told, hey, put out like a job ad for maybe like a PCI consultant or like a PCI security manager or something, right? I'll just copy and paste something from like a similar one that I find elsewhere. So as part of the qualifications for somebody who is going to be anything PCI manager, PCI analyst in a company, you cannot be a floating QSA, right? There's nothing like a floating QSA. You can be a former QSA, but you can't be like a QSA who is standing alone, right? Because QSA is attached to a QSA company. There has to be a QSA company first before there can be a QSA, right? So there's nobody floating around as a QSA. Nobody.
Thank you.
Right. Okay. So hopefully that is clear to everybody. Right now, let's move on to our next certification. So the next certification is ISA. So most people are also familiar with ISA. ISA, what an ISA would do in an organization is they help perform internal assessments and identify gaps, or they will conduct gap analysis. And so they will do an internal assessment as a QSA would do, right? But they are doing it internally for their company. So they will do it, identify issues and help remediate those issues. That way, during the actual assessment that has to be done by a QSA, the company will be good, right? So, and they will serve as the liaison between their company and the QSA company who is doing the assessment, right? So for ISA, most of the what people will be doing in companies as a PCI subject matter expert will kind of mimic what an ISA would do, right? So you'll be working kind of as an internal assessor without the certification as an internal assessor. Okay, so like an example, if you take our specialist course, once you're done, you can get a job working as an internal assessor without that qualification, right? For you to become an internal assessor, your company has to take you to PCI to, and your company has to be a qualified company. So what do I mean by qualified company? Your company has to be a merchant company that has been undergoing PCI assessments, and they have to be in good standing with PCI. If they are, and they have to also have a standalone audit department, right? And they will take somebody from the audit department to PCI to be trained as an internal assessor for them, right? So for ISA, you cannot be a floating ISA. If maybe you work for Walmart and Walmart took you to PCI to get you certified as an ISA, your ISA is tied to Walmart. If you leave Walmart, you used to be an ISA, you are no more an ISA. Okay. If you go to a different company and you want to also work as an ISA you also want to not work as, but you want to get the qualification, that company will have to take you back to PCI to get you certified. Okay. So it kind of also works similar to QSA, right? So, but the ISA working hand in hand with the QSA, but before the QSA comes, ISA is the one who is going to be doing all the pre-work and helping make sure the company stays in compliance. And ISAs, they help the company to stay in compliance all year long. That is what you're going to be doing if you want to work in PCI, right? So you don't necessarily need to get the ISA title, and also not just you not wanting to get it, but it is a company that can take you to get the ISA title. So you cannot just go get ISA title on your own, right? So what you need now is the knowledge and the skill to be able to work. So you don't necessarily need a title to be able to function effectively doing the job of an ISA. You can do the job of an ISA without a title, right? But if you have the title, well, it's a big plus. Maybe it gives you some weight. That way in the organization, when you want to push a certain agenda, you don't get so much resistance, right? But I don't really think anybody else working without that title, if they are pushing a certain agenda for PCI, for the company to stay in compliance with PCI, they're not going to get any pushback. Because if they do, then okay, I'm going to do what I can. And if the company that is not going to pass the assessment, is a very high visibility event, right? So if your company fails your PCI DSS assessment, I think even your CEO will hear about it, because that really borders on money, right? Now they are on the verge of maybe losing some money through fines or not being allowed to accept credit card or debit card, right? So for you to qualify, or for your company to even want to take you to PCI to get this certification, you should be an experienced internal auditor, or you should be an internal security or risk assessment professional, right? In any institution, retail banking, and any institution that has to stay in compliance with PCI DSS. Now let's look at ASV. Probably most people are not really familiar with ASVs. ASV stands for Approved Scanning Vendor, and an ASV is the person who performs vulnerability scans on merchants and service providers, right? So I know you might be thinking, but I can perform a vulnerability scan. I do that in my organization anyways. Yes, but your vulnerability scan that you're performing, we cannot use that, or we cannot accept that during a PCI DSS audit or assessment, right? It has to be done by PCI approved scanning vendor, which we will call approved scanning vendor. And an approved scanning vendor, also with this certification, it is not a standalone certification. It has to be an approved scanning vendor company first, before we get an individual within the company who will be qualified as an approved scanning vendor. Okay, so like I said, PCI certifications are kind of weird. They are attached to companies, and I'll explain why a company has to be has to acquire that certification first before individuals within the company can acquire that certification, right? We will talk about that. If I forget, please do remind me or ask me. I'm gonna, go over that briefly. Okay, so the normal scanning that you do within your organization with Nexus and Qualys and all those tools, it is something similar that these approved scanning vendors will do. But as part of the PCI requirements, you have to do vulnerability scans on your infrastructure every 3 months. That is quarterly, right? So if I'm going to do an audit, some of the first things that I'll ask for are their ASV scan reports, right? So they have to give me 4 if I'm doing it like over a 12 months period. So if they did their first, if they passed their last PCI DSS assessment 12 months ago, and I'm going to do another assessment, after the 12 months, they have to submit 4 ASV scan reports, right? If they don't have those 4 ASV scan reports, then, like they fail, right? And it has to be every 3 months. So they cannot say, oh, we don't have it, but guess what? Within the last 3 months, we did 4. That is not acceptable, right? Per PCI DSS requirements, they have to do it quarterly. So if it is a new organization that has been set up, that has to stay in compliance, and this is their first PCI DSS audit, then that is fine. They can have just 1 or 2, that is okay. But if it's a company that has been in existence and they've passed their first audits, and now they are like doing their second or third, then they have to employ an ASV company, and an ASV will come and do the external vulnerability scans and give them the report, right? Without that report, you cannot do your own internal scan and present that to any QSA. They are not going to accept it, right? So this is what ASVs do, and the certification ASV is still attached to an ASV company. Okay, so if you want to become an ASV, you have to be working in an ASV company full time, and they will have to send you to PCI to get that certification. Okay. And now we come to the fun one. So the only certification in PCI, in the PCI space, that is a floating certification, is the PCIP. That is the Payment Card Industry Professional. Anybody can take this certification, regardless of whether you know anything cybersecurity or you don't. They consider it as an entry-level certification, right? And for them, if you have this, it demonstrates that you have the level of understanding and you have the foundation to start working in the PCI industry, right? But this training from PCI doesn't come with any hands-on training or any, it just gives you information and introduction and, you know, stuff like that. So, but it's still good training if you want to go that route. But for you to get this, I think you have to take their training before they'll let you sit for the exam, right? And I don't really remember the price for this. I might probably check during the question and answers. I think it's in the range of like 4,500 or something on those lines. I'm not sure. But for you to work in PCI, you don't necessarily need this. If you have the means to get it, that is fine. I think you can also opt out to just write the exam. That is 1,500, or don't quote me on that. I'll probably just have to recheck real quick. If you don't want to take their training, you can choose to just write the exam. And if you take our course, this exam is you are just gonna smile the whole time answering your questions, and you're gonna pass in flying colors. But you don't need this to be able to start working in the industry. Because reason why am I saying this? If you want to come work for me, I'm not just going to look at your PCIP certification. That is good, but what do you know? What can you do? That is what everybody's after, right? Not necessarily about certifications, but this is the only certification that is, you can carry it anywhere. It's like CISSP or Security Plus, or when you have it, it's for you as an individual. It's not attached to any company. And you can parade it around, right? Add it to your catalog of certifications, which is good. So, any questions on this one before we move forward? All right. Okay, go ahead, Abba.
Yeah. So between this one and the Security Plus, which one would you recommend?
Okay. So Abba, Security Plus, right? If you want to start anything in cybersecurity, go Security Plus, because Security Plus will even help you to understand the course content of PCIP well.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, if you want to jump straight into PCIP, you are jumping first year college to go to maybe probably third year or final year, right? And now don't be crying when you are doing fourth year calculus or trigonometry. Because you don't have any foundation and you're like, why is this that? And they're like, oh, you are probably sleeping during first year and second year.
Right.
So
I appreciate the analogy.
all right. So Security Plus, I mean, is the foundation. And before everybody gets carried away, you know, there is a way just to pass the exam, and there's a way to really know the content of Security Plus. So if you go through the exam looking for answers and you pass, you just pass for passing sake, right? I don't think there's anybody on here who cannot pass just by, you know, practicing with some practice tests and stuff. You pass, but try and make sure you really understand the content of all the Security Plus objectives. That is what I mean by, you know, I'll go with Security Plus, not just passing, but, you know, even if you don't pass and you really have a good working knowledge of, you know, all the content of Security Plus, you are in a really good place to start working in the cybersecurity industry. Okay. So, all right, so now let's go to PAQSA. Okay, so TT is talking about how is CISA relevant with all these PCI certifications you are talking about. So I don't know when TT joined us, but CISA, for you to qualify to even go to PCI for the QSA training, you have to have either CISA or any of the audit certifications, at least one, and also any of the management and leadership certifications in cybersecurity, which might cover maybe SIM or not Security Plus, unfortunately, CISSP and those ones, right? So yes, CISA, if you have it, is good. You are at least one step in the chain. So gradually, if you start working for a QSA company, then, you know, at least you've crossed some of the requirements out, and you can easily go that route, right? Because QSA, as a QSA, you are going to be an information security auditor, right? So if you have CISA, CISA is an auditing certification, right? So if you have it, it's good. Okay. There are two hands up. Lumen, go ahead.
Oh yes, Dr. Lu, just to add to your comment about the security plus. I have not finished your training yet. I'm 50%, but I was able to take the security plus, and I noticed that all your practical questions on things were not exact on exam, but they were pretty much the same. Just to let everyone know that Dr. Lu class is really structured to help you understand, and everything makes sense when you do. So you won't be like, you will not suffer. Even like some question I didn't even do it, but I'm like, I forget about this, and I just run through, and then I just pass it. Just to let everyone know, if you go through your courses well, take your time, study, you make it. Thank you.
Oh, I didn't know that. So, Lumen, you passed security plus?
Yes, I took it last time. Since I need a job.
Oh, but you're not done with the course though.
Not yet. I'm halfway.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm on the practical side. I'm on the practical.
Okay.
I'm doing the practical.
Okay, so you're doing the hands-on.
Yes, hands-on. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Lumen, for that comment. Stephen, please go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Du. Yeah, I just want to find out, can one person be a QSA and work for two companies? Is it possible?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, so you cannot be, because it is one company that can take you to the QSA training to get certified. Once you are certified as a QSA, you are under that QSA company's umbrella. So if you leave that company, then you are no more a QSA. So you cannot be QSA for two companies. So they cannot list you here as a QSA for this company and list you here as a QSA for that company. It is not going to work, right? But if you are asking, can I be a QSA and still be working like a second job elsewhere? That is possible if it doesn't border on conflict of interest, right? So I cannot be a QSA and I'll take like a second gig working for Steven LLC, right? Helping them to stay in compliance. And then when Steven LLC needs somebody to come and do their audits, guess who is coming? Dr. Edu is coming again. That is a huge no-no, right? But if I'm a QSA in this company and probably maybe I'm doing some little consultant gig, helping Steven on the side, Steven LLC to stay in compliance, and I don't have to do anything with their audits, or I don't have any influence whatsoever, then that will be fine. But I'm not a QSA for Steven LLC. I'm only a QSA for Eretmis Inc.
All right. Thank you.
Yes. So, and also to add to that, I thought your question was, can I be a QSA and like what was the other ones that we looked at, and ASB, and yes, you can be all of it if you want, right? I mean, you can be a QSA and ISA at the same time. That is not possible, right? But you can be a QSA and an ASB, KIR, and all these other, and even like PA QSA, yes. But guess what? If you are a QSA and an ASB and a PA QSA, it means that the company you're working for is also a QSA company, an ASB company, a PA QSA company, right? If they are not, then you cannot hold those titles because they have to take you to the training, or like they have to take you for the, like they have to present you for the certification. Okay, so yes. All right, Pat has a question. Can you again talk about taking the apprenticeship without taking the course at Eretmis? I took PCI DSS course at a different academy. Okay, Pat, we will address that, okay, at the end of this. So now let's look at PA QSA. PA QSA, you are going to work similar to a QSA, but what you are going to be auditing will be payment applications, right? And now with the new PCI DSS 4.0, we are transitioning from the old PCI DSS framework, which is 3.2.1 to 4.0. Now, 4.0 and 3.2.1, they are running side by side, right? After 2 years, 3.2.1 will be fully retired, and it's going to be only 4.0 moving forward. Now, as part of the changes they've made in 4.0, payment applications are going away. Now they call it just software, right? I think payment software or something. Yeah. Oh, ABBA. Okay. So payment applications, they are, if you talk about payment applications, if you want like specifics, then we'll be talking about brand names, right? So payment applications are just the applications that you see at the point of sales, right? Rite Aid and all these places. If you're doing self-checkout, the application you are interacting with, that is a payment application, right? We have different companies that manufactures or that, you know, produce those softwares, right? So like there's a whole variety of it. There is no like specific one that is better than the other. So depending on how well they're able to sell themselves to any company, then the company might, you know, buy their product. So
right.
Yeah, David, yes, there's support towards interviews and resume after the training. So we'll talk more about the training here shortly. So as part of the PCI DSS requirements for merchants and for organizations that are using payment applications, we have a special QSA who will just do an assessment on that application to make sure it is in compliance with PCI requirements, right? PCI payment application requirements. So whoever is qualified to do that is the person we will call the payment application QSA, okay? And it has to be a payment application QSA company or a QSA company that is doing assessment on third-party payment applications, who we will classify as a PADSS, who we will classify as a PA QSA company, right? And then they can take somebody to the training to become a PA. So whoever is going to the training might already be a QSA, and they will just take the payment application training, right? But payment application, the term payment application is going away, but still under 3.2.1, we still, you know, use payment application. Okay. Now let's look at QIR, right? I don't know who is familiar with QIR, but this is one of the certifications in PCI as well. So QIR it stands for Qualified Integrator and Reseller, right? So with all POS and these like softwares, the payment softwares that I was talking about, you know, if you go to purchase something and you are doing self-checkout, the whole system that you see over there, when the company purchases this, like the software or the hardware, they can't just have anybody do the installation of the hardware and do the installation of the software, right? It has to be somebody who is qualified to do it. And those people are the people we will classify as qualified integrator and reseller, okay? So there is a question from Lawrence. We will look at that shortly here, Lawrence. So these people are mostly, they are the ones who they sell the software and the hardware on behalf, and then they also do installation on behalf of a third-party company, right? So if I work for, let's say Dell, and Dell, you know, produces a payment application, mostly it is not Dell who is going to be doing the installation. It's like their agent, if you want to look at it that way, who has been trained on how to, you know, do the installation and how to also install the software, right? So once they come to your premises and they do the installation, they will give you a report that will outline how they configure the whole system, right? So if I'm doing an audit, during my audits, I will look at that report as well, right? Hey, what did your KRL give you? I'll look at it and make sure they everything was installed. So if it was installed by a qualified QIR, you are good, you know, but I still have to double check and make sure that everything is, you know, right. right? So I trust, but I still have to check. Okay, so that is part of it. But for if I'm doing an audit and your company had their payment application and your hardware that comes with it installed by Kwame, who works in your IT department, is a big no-no if Kwame is not a QIR, right? So all these certifications that we've been talking about, for you to know, because like you guys have to also know this, if you want to work in the industry, whatever capacity that you'll be working in as a PCI somebody in an organization, you should know where to check people's qualifications, right? So if somebody just comes, oh yeah, we're a QSA company, you should know how to check a QSA company to make sure they are in good standing. They might have been a QSA company, but maybe during their annual renewal or something, there was something wrong with them, so they didn't get renewed, right? So even though you worked with them last year, it doesn't mean next year when you want to work with them, they are still in good standing. You have to check. It is your duty to do that due diligence, because if you don't, and they do an assessment for you, it's not going anywhere, right? They can present, you can present that to your acquirer. They can also present that to PCI. So if maybe probably they have it that, oh yeah, we didn't qualify, but we are still working on it. You know, we are submitting these documents and trying to qualify. You don't want to go that route, because what if they don't qualify in the next 4 months, 6 months? Then your PCI certification as a company is, you know, in the air. Okay, so let's look at Lawrence's question. So it means that those who are very new should go through Security Plus probably before joining the PCI talk like this. Not really. Lawrence, what I'll say is information is always key, right? Maybe once you're done with PCI, you didn't have this talk, right? It might not be there. We might have moved on to something else. It is good to listen to it today, know where to find this information when you need it, okay? But if you are talking about starting the PCI class, with the PCI class, I'll probably leave the floor for some of our PCI students to talk about it. What we've come up with to help our students, right, is we will advise that at least you have some security background, right? If you don't, but you are really motivated to do a lot of hard work, then we can still start you off, because we have a cybersecurity crash course that we do that is going to take almost like 3 weeks, right? So now that crash course is not by any means going to give you everything you need to have a good working knowledge of all the areas. You will get a very good working knowledge of all the areas. But if you have no security background, then it means you have to dig more into the books and do more work on your own too, right? But if you have a security background, then it's easier. It's like a big refresher for you, and you touch on some areas that you might not be or very familiar with, or you do like you wouldn't necessarily have strengths, you know, in. Okay, so but for talks like this, you can listen. Some are going to stick. If some are not going to stick, that is fine, right? But at least you know it, and you know where to find the information when you need it. Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Lawrence. Oh, Abba is asking, how do you check if an organization is authorized to do anything? I'll show you here once we're done with this. Okay, I'll show you. All right, so that is for QIR. So if you are working in an organization, you are the PCI, you know, person, and your organization is talking about changing all the softwares on their payment application. Now, when they do get a vendor, you know the questions to ask. Is this guy a QIR? Is he? Oh, yes, he is. It's very easy to check. You can just go to PCI website and check. You put his name in there and it will show you whether he's qualified or not. So, but I'll show everybody how to do that. It's very easy here shortly. And I'll use Eretmis as an example, right? Now with, so this is not QIR, this is QPA, right? So please ignore the, like the first portion. So for QPA, what is a QPA going to do? So QPA, what they do borders on cryptography and key management. right? So the QPAs, they focus mainly on the PCI PIN security requirements. So if anybody remembers the first, what is PCI and what are some of the PCI frameworks that we have. So within PCI, there is not only PCI DSS. We have 4 main frameworks, right? And the PIN security requirement is part of it, right? So the PIN security requirement, there has to also be an assessor who will do an assessment on the PIN security. And the PIN security borders on cryptography, how like cryptographic keys are managed, right? So a QPA is somebody who is going to be doing that assessment, okay? So I think there was some typo in there. They still maintain the old slide for this one, right? So pardon the little H on there. Right? So now let's look at P2PE QSA. So if P2PE QSA, we know P2PE is one of the frameworks within PCI, right? That is point-to-point encryption. It is a solution that companies will use to encrypt cardholder data from the moment it touches the point of sale to wherever it is going to, land eventually. Okay, so they have to, there are assessors whose job it is to make sure that these softwares that organizations are using, they have to do a QA, QC on it to make sure that it is good. It is in this, like it is in good standing with the requirements of PCI Council, right? So P2PE QSAs, the assessment that they do is mainly just on that P2PE framework, okay? And still, like the other certifications that we talked about, to be a P2PE QSA, you have to be working in a P2PE QSA company. Same thing with a QPA. You have to be working in a QPA company, right? So the only certification that you don't have to be working anywhere is a PCIP, right? Now, CPSA is also one of the certifications, and this is for card production security, right? So how your credit card and debit card is produced during the production, there has to be some measures to make sure that everything is done according to the standard or according to the framework set forth by the PCI Council. And there has to be an assessor who will, audit these private companies that produces your credit card and your debit cards. Okay, so if you are qualified to do that, you are a card production security assessor, and it has to be a card production security assessor company that can take you to get this certification. And we will look at 3DS assessor. So 3DS assessors, they also do the same thing. It has to be a 3DS company, a qualified 3DS company that can take you to become a 3DS assessor. Okay. Now we will open the floor for questions, and then we will jump into details about the training and everything else that anybody might have. Oh, and before we do that, let me show you how to check if a company is qualified to do anything PCI. So this will be one free tip for anybody who wants to be working as a PCI subject matter expert in any company. So if you want to check any assessor that you'll be dealing with or KIR that you'll be dealing with, it's easy. Just come to the PCI Council's website. So it's PCIsecuritystandards.org. And once you are here, you can go to PCI qualified professionals, right? PCI qualified professionals. So PCI, as part of their job, what they do is they list all qualified professionals that they have qualified to perform assessments who are in good standing. They will list them on here. If you are not on here, it means you are not in good standing, right? So when you click on this, the drop-down menu, it shows you 3DS assessors, ASVs, card production security assessors, internal assessors, payment card qualified security assessors, point-to-point, and so the list goes on, right? You can check any of these. So if somebody tells you they are an ISA, it's very easy. You can come here and verify them, right? So let's go to QSA because Eretmis is a QSA company. Now, when you click on it, it will bring you to this page, right? On this page, you can check the company to see if the company is a qualified anything, right? And even if you don't check, there is a whole list of all qualified QSA companies here, right? So in the whole world, there are 386 QSA companies, the whole world. I think half of this is probably in the States, right? So now let's check Eretmis. If you want to check a company, just you have to type in the company's name. And if it's in there, it's going to pop up. It's right here. So this is Eretmis, and I'm the POC for Eretmis, right? So if you want to check whether Eretmis is a qualified QSA company, right there, right? If it is not, it's not going to show up here. All right. So if we can give it a shot, let's try Kwame LLC. Not found. Right. So if it is there, you see. Now you can check employees to also make sure that whoever Eretmis is presenting to you, that he or she is a QSA. How do you know whether they are a QSA in good standing? Right. You can check that here too. So here you type in the last name. I always get this wrong, right? So last name and middle initial. For some reason, I have two last names. Sometimes I put a hyphen, sometimes I don't. Okay, so there it is. All right. So if I'm a qualified QSA, you see it right here, right? When is my qualification going to expire? So all these qualifications that we talked about or certifications, they are only valid for a year. At the end of the year, like when yours is due, you have to renew it. So you still have to go through the training and take an exam again. If you fail the exam, you are going to show here as invalid, right? So this is my certification number. This is, I just renewed it last month, and this is valid, right? So, and if you you need any feedback, so maybe I came to your company, I did a terrible job as an assessor. Guess what? You can just come in here and leave a feedback to PCI. So this is how to check. Now, other QSAs in our company, we can check them also here, and they'll pop up here, right? So you guys see how I'm attached to Eretmis Inc. So if anybody tells you I'm a floating QSA, okay, just get their full name, right? You can check them out here if there is anything like floating QSA. If I leave Eretmis, guess what? My name will be taken off this list because they can't list me under Eretmis anymore. So who are they going to list me under, right? I have to go through another company for them to list me under that company. So that is how you check. Any questions on that?
No, not for me, Doc.
Okay, so Abba is asking, okay, thanks. Abba is asking if I will recommend pursuing only PCI DSS program alone or getting Security Plus certified and completing the apprenticeship. So getting Security Plus certified will give you a foundation in security, but it's not going to give you a foundation in PCI. Right? PCI is a specialized area that touches on all the areas of security. So if you have a foundation, then it's a big plus because then everything in PCI is not going to be over your head. So getting Security Plus is good, but you cannot do one or the other. If you want to be really successful in PCI or in any specialized area of cybersecurity, getting Security Plus or any other certification will help you to even be better at that, you know, like where you want to go. Okay. So don't really have to be. And also, so when I talk about Security Plus, I'm not really concerned about getting the certification itself. I'm concerned about knowing what the Security Plus content covers. right? Because that knowledge is what is going to help you. It's not just the certification. Because people
Right.
pass Security Plus without knowing a thing in security. That is the sad truth, right? I know people who have like 3 or 4 certifications. Oh yeah, I have this, I have that. But just ask them one, kindergarten cybersecurity question and they are all over the place, right?
Okay.
So mostly when I talk about certifications, it's not, the end goal is not getting the certification. The end goal is knowing the content of that certification, right? So if you can, like Lumen was talking about, if you can sit for the exam and you read the questions and you're able to understand and digest and answer it on your own merit, and even if you fail, you've done well, like way over my expectations than somebody who just memorized test questions and passed.
Right.
So yes, so look at it from that perspective. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
another quick one before, thank you. So I know there are 7 core, I don't know, for lack of a better word, core sub specializations under the security plus when you sit for the exam. When it comes to Eretmis Academy, which of them do you pay attention to? Like the 7 sub the 7 sub units of like basically when you sit for the exam,
Mhm.
are we gonna be tested on 7 sub units, no, sub specializations under cybersecurity?
Okay, so yeah, I think I get where you're coming from with this. So just like any area of study, right? There are levels. Okay, so for Security Plus, when we are talking about cryptography or identity and access management, so like I'm just mentioning like some of the major areas in cybersecurity, right? Networking technologies and cybersecurity architecture and all those, right? For Security Plus, they treat it at the level of Security Plus, right? When you look at it from CISSP, they treat it at the level of, intermediate to advanced level. So it really depends on how you look at it. Now, for our training, because of what we know and for where we are looking at everything from, we don't limit ourselves by just, so if you take like an entry-level course, it goes way beyond what you need for Security Plus. Because like the hands-on training and all these tools that you have been exposed to, you don't need that for Security Plus, right? But you need that on the job, right? And that is even going to help you on advanced certifications, right? But Security Plus, from just me being me and from what I know, for Security Plus, it gives you a very solid foundation. Because if you study security, like the content of Security Plus, and you study it well, it's very easy for you to pass CISSP. Now, the only trick when you have to actually, if we take exam for exam, the only trick in CISSP is that they are really good in tricking you to think all the answers are, good. So for CISSP, they will give you good answers and they will tell you to choose the best, right? So all of them look like all of them are good. Which one is the best? Questions like that are harder to answer than me asking you, hey, which of these protocols are used to transmit web traffic? And I have HTTPS, SSH, like those questions are easy. You either know it or you don't know it, right? So, but if you know your Security Plus content really solid, jumping to write something like CISSP wouldn't really be much of a stretch. On the very quote unquote, the technical side of CISSP will be very easy for you. But if you don't have any managerial or any leadership, acumen, then the leadership side is also going to be a little bit of a challenge. The operational side will be a little bit of a challenge.
Got it.
Hopefully that answers your question, right?
Okay, yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead, Lumen. Oh, Lumen, you are muted.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry. Yes, I just want to add give a comment. I think certificate is just it's just there to support us. For example, me, I'm not thinking about getting a CISSP. I don't think I need it now. I want to have a job in cybersecurity at least for 5 years before I can start looking into that. I think what I have now is good for me. And, you know, I think by being an expert into your field, by learning more, by being patient, you know, you get better. And then CSSP will just come easily. And I think, I mean, I was in the Navy. When I took the ASVAB, it depends on how you answer the question. The more you answer the question, and then it get harder and harder and harder and harder and harder. But if you keep failing, you get more easier questions. You know, I just want to add that to it.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Lumen. So I think sometime today we created a PCI WhatsApp group. I'm going to put it in the chat, and anybody who is interested in it can use that link to join our PCI group, and we'll be, you know, putting some really good information in there and also updating you on other stuff that we're doing on PCI. But I think what is left now is to talk about the training, and let me pull out the curriculum for the specialist training, and we're all gonna, you know, kind of take a look at it, and you guys will see exactly what we're talking about. And then we talk about the apprenticeship and internship also. I know Lawrence, yeah, I think like, no, Pat is really, really much interested in that. We'll take a look at that also. And for any questions that you have, you can please bring it up now, and then we will address it before we wrap things up.
Hey, Dr. Adu, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Hey, good evening. This is Leo.
Oh, Leo, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Listen, thank you for all the information that you share and all that you do. I have a question. I am currently in the information security space. I'm an InfoSec analyst. So, but I'm looking to pivot specifically into the PCI domain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's really because obviously the unlimited potential in that space. You know, it's which is what I've always wanted to do, but I just feel like now that PCI has really spoken to me because of its you know, just its reach of, you know, anywhere in the world. So in a case like myself that I'm already in the space, what would you advise as the steps necessary to fast track that, I don't want to say transition, but that pivot to where I want to now become like a subject matter expert in that space and go from there?
Okay.
I see you pulled up your course.
Yes. Okay. So great point, Leo. So for somebody who's already in the space, if I heard you right, information, you are working as an information security analyst now?
Yes, I'm on the governance, risk, and compliance side already. So
okay. Yeah, so
but
for you,
not the PCI. That's why, but the PCI is where I want to really focus on. Okay.
So like, it's not going to be a big switch or a big pivot, if you want to look at it that way. Because like you've been doing audit stuff. So when it comes to doing assessment and gap analysis and stuff like that, you have a really good idea what you're looking for. So now, like, all that you need, or like what is going to help you to be very successful is for like a training that is really going to take you not just through, hey, these are the requirements, this is this, that is that, right? If it's just that, then I can just send you all the requirements and you can read them on your own, right?
Okay.
But if you take requirement by requirement, how do we implement it?
Exactly.
How do you assess it, right?
Right.
Because what most people fail to get is that every organization is unique.
Yes.
So they are not going to have this. So there's no one straight line as to how things have to be, right?
Right.
And as an assessor, like I can tell you for a fact, assessors, guess what they do? The assessment they are doing is based on their judgment.
So it's not like it's not a set rule. It's not a set procedures. Like it's based on the individual assessor's judgment.
No, so for every requirement, I'm using my judgment to judge whether you met it or you didn't meet it.
Okay. Okay.
You see what I mean? So
yeah.
like some of it are straightforward. Let's say, for example, your company is supposed to have like security policies.
Right. Policy.
Right.
Yep.
So far as you don't have like papers with like heading security policy and the whole thing is blank.
Right.
And you have an actual policy, you are good.
That will suffice.
Right. There is no you have it, but it's not typed well. I don't like, there is nothing like that. That is straightforward. Right.
Okay.
But if it comes to something like scoping, right? How, so if you guys did segmentation where you are segmenting or you are kind of try to, you know, like corner off your cardholder data environment.
Yes.
When you like, you have to do your scoping as an organization, you have to do the scoping before I will come and look at your scoping and do my, based on my judgment, you know, like determine whether your scope is in fact, you know, good enough, or you guys are missing some areas that touches on that, like some areas of your infrastructure that touches on PCI or cardholder data, but then you have not included in the scope. You know, like something like that is kind of subjective and based on the experience of the assessor.
Okay.
Right. So if anybody is telling you, hey, do scoping, and then that's it. Right. So if maybe you are working for Macy's, maybe they are really on point, you know, they have everything structured, is good. Now you go to work for a different company, everything is scattered everywhere. Now they have one system there, another one is in their next whatever department, and is a whole mess. Now, how do you do the scoping there? Right. But if you understand how, you know, like the foundation of doing scoping, like the fundamental, what to look for, regardless of the dynamics, everything is still going to be the same. Right. So because your understanding will help you to really, okay, so this is this has to be this has to be that. Right. So not just bulldozing our way through and showing you this is this, that is that. But when it comes to like the hands-on or like the internship part of it, we actually do. And we will discuss different scenarios. Okay, what if it was this way? What would you have done? You know, so as an analyst, you know, it's not like sometimes you have to really think and apply what you know and your experience. Right.
Right. Right. It's not a cookie cutter type of yes or no.
Yes. Yes. So although the requirements are set in stone, they are there. It is based on a judgment to see whether, okay, they met it, they didn't meet it. Now, let's say you didn't meet it, right? Because maybe probably you are running Windows 95 on one system and the organization is running Windows 95, right? And it is, you have like business justification for it. So you are not meeting one of the requirements in PCI. Now, there's something we call compensating controls.
Right.
So
to make up for that.
Yes, to make up for that. So the compensating controls, it has to meet the intent and the goal of the original requirement, right? So who is going to say it meets or it does not meet? It's based on the judgment of the assessor. Now, you as an implementer, right, you have to really do that also analysis before I come. So you'll be able to, you know, argue your point out, okay, we don't have this, but we have this and this and this and this, because whatever you have for as your compensating control has to be way more than what the requirement was even looking for.
Right.
Right.
To
so
make up for the deficiency.
Yes. So there is a lot of, it's not just for just knowing like the requirements, this is the list, that is too easy. I mean, you can find that, but really, you know, to understand it and to know how to implement it and to really be dynamic in different situations and be able to, so that will come with, you know, somebody who is going to push you to really think in those directions and give you different scenarios of what if this would have been that, what if that, how are you going to implement? Because and this also goes to like people who say, oh, I just want, you know, this is easy, you just go through and you go by the list. Well, if it was easy, then I think everybody would have been a QSA, right?
Right. I mean,
So-
I completely understand what you're saying, because obviously I'm an analyst, so there's really
Yes.
no one cookie cutter like
Mhm.
way.
Mhm.
You have to assess, every situation a little differently.
Mhm.
But for I mean, definitely for me, I beyond, okay, so beyond, like the long-term goal is ultimately to be able to, like take this as a business of mine, if you know what I
Okay.
mean.
Okay.
Beyond, just working for somebody,
Mhm. Mhm.
but obviously there's a foundation that's needed, which I believe
Yes.
that's what you're offering.
Yes.
That the mentoring.
Mhm.
So, but obviously my needs are not as, I'm not like a neophyte where I don't have a clue of what's going on.
Mhm.
So as far as, the InfoSec, not the PCI, but I've
Mhm.
spent some time reading.
Mhm.
So it's just like that learning curve and the ability to is a term flatten that learning curve
Mhm.
from start to lunch, if you know
Mhm.
what I mean.
Yep.
Will it still require the entire 12 weeks and 4 weeks of internship, or is there like an option for people with my background that can get down, if that makes sense?
Okay. Yeah. So for you, I'll still go like the whole 9 years.
The whole 9 yards, okay. All
Yes.
right.
Because what you don't want is gap in your knowledge base, right?
Right.
So
Right.
you don't want to be looking like behind you and did I get this, or like was
Right.
this supposed to be right? Like you want to cover all the mileage and be really confident that, hey, I did turn every, like I didn't leave any stone unturned, right?
Right.
So
Okay.
if right now, if you are put in the seat to be a consultant for some company, or you are going on your own as a consultant, you are pretty much very confident that nothing is going to, slip by that you are not going to catch.
Right. Right. Okay. All right.
Because
makes
everything that we're doing in the internship is going to be based on what we did in the class.
Okay.
Yes. So you don't want to be that guy or that girl. We are all going to, say something and you're going to be the only one who didn't get the joke. Like, what is so funny? But we did it probably like in week 4, right?
Right. Right. Right.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
So you want to be on the same page with everybody. That is why for our training, guess what we do? Even for everybody. So you are coming in, you are in InfoSec already, you doing it, kicking butt. But guess what? We will help you with some refresher course by just touching on all these areas, all these core cybersecurity areas, right?
Right. Right. Okay.
So you're gonna be in the class, you'll be like, oh yeah, I think I forgot. Yeah, I remember that part. Yeah, okay, that, so like for you, it's gonna be like a big refresher, right? And
Right.
reason why we do that is I don't want us to get here, right? Or even get all the way down here in like discussing, like issues here, and then you are asking, hey, what is SSH?
Right.
Right. And now we
Right.
have to go back and tell you what SSH is and what is a port.
Right.
No, like we don't want to be doing that. But or you can pretend you understand what a port is, but guess what? Everything that we're doing down here is going to be way over your head. Now you have to go home and search what is a protocol, what is a port, what is this, and so we do the cybersecurity crash course to help everybody to be on the same level. That way, whatever language we are speaking, we know, okay, at least everybody has a good working knowledge of all the areas, because guess what? PCI touches on all the areas of cybersecurity.
Right. Right. Okay.
All of it. Like RMF touches on all the areas of cybersecurity.
Right.
Now, no individual is going to be a master of all the areas of cybersecurity. It can never be, right?
No.
But at least you should know enough that you are not a network engineer, but you should know enough that when you look at a data flow diagram, you'll be able to look at it and be like, what is this? Why is this that? Like, why don't they have like a like a firewall on there? Why don't we have a DMZ here? Why?
Right.
You see what I mean? But you are not the one who's going to be setting up the DMZ. Like, if we probably give you some cables, you didn't know what is what from what.
No, but you can read.
But
You can read the flow.
yes, you should be able to look at it and understand. Maybe if the network engineer didn't catch something, or if they give you like the penetration test report,
Result. Right.
It shouldn't look like Greek to you, right? You are
should
not
know
a
what you're
pen
looking at.
tester, but at
Right.
least you should be able to look at it and be like, oh, why is port 23 open?
Open.
Why?
Right.
Right?
Exactly. Right.
And then like you don't want to be looking and asking somebody, hey, what is port 23? Like what does it do?
All right. Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I definitely see what you're saying. So
Yes.
yes. Okay.
So with that, I mean, like if we look at it from that way, you'll be very successful because our goal, like what you're talking about, PCI is one of the only areas of cybersecurity that you can set up shop on your own as a consultant,
Right.
if you know what you are doing.
Right.
Yeah, we know we have HIPAA, RMF, and all them. They are good, but they all have like a limit.
Right. Outside of the US or globally.
Yes, or the government, but PCI, like when we go back to that list of like QSAs in Africa, in Asia, in everywhere.
It's the same.
Yes. So and also in the States, it cuts across all industries, government,
Right.
retail, whoever. Once you accept debit card and credit cards and you transmit them and store them and process them, guess what? You have to stay in compliance with PCI, right? And companies, how or why will like any individual be able to set up shop? Because companies, they don't only have to passing the PCI audits once a year. That is not it. They have to stay in compliance all year long. And from all the PCI incidents and breaches that have happened over the years, during investigations, it was found that there was no single company who had a breach who was in compliance, like total compliance with all PCI requirements on the point or on the time of the breach, right? When Target was breached, Target just passed their PCI audit a week ago.
Yeah.
Right. But if you are not doing so, that is why they need either somebody on their team or they need a private consultant who is going to help their team work on, spread all the requirements over the 12 months and be working on it. Okay, we're working on this. Oh, you guys just got new servers. Okay, this is what we have to do. This is the game plan. So, so that is why you can set up shop, and you can even just set up shop just doing PCI awareness training, because guess what? It's part of the requirements.
Right.
So all you do is just PCI awareness training for the general folks in the company, for just the IT group, for just the cybersecurity group. That you can even set up shop there. So we have a program that we'll be rolling out where for like our students and also non-students, we'll be working on projects with individuals. We will like show you and help, like kind of like mentor you on the business side, right? And when we land gigs, we are going to work on it together, and you're also going to get a cut, right? Okay. We are working on something like that that is in the pipeline still. So we are going to roll it out, right?
All right. So do you offer like, again, like, do you offer like a one-to-one mentorship for students that are interested in that?
So for one-to-one, it depends on my availability, and also it depends on the case.
Okay.
So
and the reason I'm asking this is because obviously you have people with varying backgrounds and varying needs.
Yes.
So in some cases, some of the information to some people, it's already part of what they do, like myself included. So we would, again, it's almost like trying to, I don't want to say, it's like wanting to flatten that time or accelerate the program where we can deal with, we're not taking anything away from the class for, the regularly scheduled program, but we have enough knowledge where we're able to grasp a lot of the stuff. Like, I mean, going through the class, but on a, like, where it's just more of a one-on-one basis with you, where it's not taken away from the class, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. So with that kind of leads into my next thing. Like with our new class, we setting it up where for the first month is going to be online with group like meetings in between because of my current like situation.
Right.
But mostly for like our online classes, you have the opportunity to book an appointment like one-on-one with me, and
Okay.
like anything that you need help with. So like you're going to be studying on your own. So for like you, depending on like what lesson, you can just, you know, brush through it or glance, okay, this is good, this is good. I think I need more time on this side, and we can also do one-on-one on that side, right? So I think
Okay.
maybe like something structured like that is going to help. Like I get what, like where you're coming from, because maybe if it's going to be live classes, we are just going through everything with everybody, and maybe for you, like some of it is like, oh, okay, I know all this already, why don't I skip to maybe next 4 lessons, right? I think like that is something like that that you're talking about. And also like,
Yeah.
if I need help, can I just get one-on-one advice on? Yes, so we have that also. But if it comes to like pure mentorship, let's say, hey, let's sit down and do this and plan that, yeah, that costs too much. And also like time wise, sometimes I literally don't just have the time.
Right. I understand. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So like from the where you're coming from, yes, we have something like.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, doctor. Thank you for the information you shared.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
You're welcome. All right. Anybody else? So we'll go through this real quick. I think the best way is just to post this in the chat for everybody. I'm trying to post it. That way you can have time and take a look at it, right? This is just for the assessor, not for the expert course. But like most of it was, like most of this will be covered in the expert together with the audit side, right? And if there are any questions, I think there are some questions in here. Oh, okay. So for the self-paced, we are releasing it tomorrow. But like registration will be open today. So I'll put in the links. You can register for any of it that will work for you, right? And for payments and stuff, we have like different payment options with I think up to 5 and 6 months with no interest and stuff. And also if you want to go through like a financing partner, we have like Meritize that you can finance through. And for the hands-on, or like anybody who feels like, hey, I just want to do the kind of apprenticeship part of it, we also have like a package like that. So you can email me, or you can give us like a quick call or text or WhatsApp, and then we will talk to you and send you the link to that as well. Okay. For people already in the class, like, do we have anybody on here already in the class? Maybe if they also want to share 1 or 2, and people want to ask them, hey, how is it going? And, you know, like, how are you guys liking it? Yes. So for the, oh, please wait. For the online course, it includes the crash course as well. It's going to include the crash course. Yes, please go ahead. The floor is open for maybe some of the PCI students who want to share 1 or 2 on what they are doing right now.
Okay, this is Steven. Yeah, I am right now a current student with a current PCI class. And what I would say is very good. I also did, I'm into security since 2008. I've done system administration, networking, application, and a whole lot, and the security. But joining this class, I've learned different things that are sometimes I didn't really get it right, but we were just saying it for saying its sake, or we thought that was it. Like just recently, that was last week or maybe Monday. Yeah, we treated this thing, certificate, digital certificate, cryptography, and I learned a lot about it, about how the certificate works. But sometimes I was having just the one way, but it depends what you are doing and how you encrypt. So I think I have CISA, I have done CISM, I passed all. I was just about to write CISSP, and I just hold on. And I think just the crash course, this is just a crash course, and I really love it. We've not really started the main PCI DSS yet, but we've done the introduction. And even currently, I'm at work. I'm using it. That is what I would say. I've not reached anywhere. I didn't want Dr. Edu to know that, but when I speak about PCI, they just want to give me like assignment on it, and I told them no, they should hold on. Yeah. So I'm really grateful for joining the class. Yeah, and thanks a lot for that.
Okay, Stephen. Anybody else in Stephen's cohort? Okay, so Kwame will go and then Ephraim will go. Okay.
Well, my name is Kwame. I'm in the PCI DSS class, and then I'm working right now, but fortunately or unfortunately for me, the company that I got hired into, they have no cybersecurity personnel over there. So I am one person doing the cybersecurity aspect of it, how to straighten it out, set the whole thing up, and still they have to be compliant with the PCI DSS. And then with Dr. Edu, me under his arm is trying to I'm getting understanding of what to do, what not to do. I had no idea what the PCI was about. But now when we go to meeting and I chair the meeting and try to put some information out there, I think maybe next time when they sit down for the increment, then maybe I might be asking for more than what they're paying me. So I think the future is bright for this program. So all of you guys, if you really want to make it, then you have to be serious and then pay attention to what he said. It's very helpful.
All right, Kwame. Thanks. Ephraim, please go ahead.
Hi, sorry, Doctor. I just wanted to, I guess, find out if there is part of any of your training where there is some sort of like focusing or mentoring as far as the PCI DSS framework is concerned on scoping, segmentation, and compensating controls.
Okay, good question. So all that side is done in the internship area or internship hands-on area, because with those we tackle real world like problems or like real world assessments, and you're going to be on the implementer side. So you really get to not just, hey, this is scoping. Scoping involves A, B, C, D, but you're actually going to be part of it and, help do the scoping, help look for or, present the evidence or gather the evidence or make the evidence yourself, right? So exactly, like the list of everything that needs to be gathered and the understanding of it. So if you don't have it, compensating controls, what are some of the compensating controls you can put in place to help your company to, stay in compliance, right? So when it comes to that aspect, I'm not really a big fan of, like when it comes to the doing or the skills portion is not, this is this, it is let's do it, right? So we actually will get on the field and start playing, and that will help to make it stick, and you really have that, feel of, and that confidence also, right? Because you can learn something all day, but if you've done it during a meeting, during like any discourse, people are going to look at you like, what have you been studying? Right? Because now you'll be speaking with a lot of passion and like it's just flowing because you're not trying to remember it because you've actually done it. Right? So,
thank you.
Yeah, that'll touch on that as well. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Go ahead, Sheila.
Hi, Dr. Edu. So I'm in the PCI DSS class. We are almost done, and then we are going to be doing the hands-on. So first, when Dr. Edu talked about the program and the fact that he started with a crash course of the cybersecurity, I was like, what is the sense in it? Why? I thought, why don't we just go straight to the point? But now that we went through it, it makes a lot of sense. That's what I like about, personally, that's what I like about the way Dr. Edu teaches his class, is the fact that he can see what you need. So even if you haven't gotten a good grip of the basis, he still take you through because as you get into the main PCI DSS class, you're going to realize that, oh wow, I didn't get this part, but now it makes sense. And then he's going to put you through a little bit of hands-on and internship. That also is like the best, because you can get a class from anywhere else. You can buy it from Udemy and all those places, but you can't get this anywhere, where he gives you the basis and also take you to the main class and also give you a hands-on. I think it's just, you know, he's giving it to us on a silver platter. So I'm just grateful. You won't believe it. He told me I stole his presentation, but even though we are not done with the class, I'm giving a presentation on PCI DSS at where I work, because they have no idea. So I gave it to my team on Thursday, and they were just sitting there opening their mouth like, wow, because they had no idea. And it was like an elephant in the room. We know the clerks use they accept cards, but nobody talked about it because nobody knew about it. So I think I'm opening a big can of worms, but I'm confident because I'm learning great stuff here. So thank you again, Dr. Edu.
All right, Shada, but you still have to pay for my presentation that you stole.
I know I owe you too much. One
right.
of these days, you have to take my shoes.
Yeah, Michael, go ahead.
All right, so this is Michael here. I'm also currently in the PCI DSS class. Just wanted to say, because going through the chat, I saw someone asking questions about helping with resume writing and also interview process. So like everybody knows, Dr. Duke comes with a complete package. He has that experience doing all of that. So just want to say that he's actually helping me right now. And I know he's helped several people with their resume and also going for interview processes. So like I said, you not get this anywhere. He has the time. He's a mentor. He's personally my mentor. So he, like I said, he comes with a complete package. And when you build that relationship, you build it for the rest of your life. So just a personal to attest to the fact that he's always been there. And whenever you need anything, he will always be there for you. So if you join the class, trust me, he will never leave you hanging.
Oh, thank you, Michael. And I think, oh, who else is I think like who will speak is Alan on here? I just want to call out Alan because Alan is my favorite in my new class, right? Or maybe probably Alan left early, I think, because he was asking when the video will be ready. But go ahead, Freddie.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Yes, Freddie. And I'm not saying much because most of my classmates have shared a lot. I just wanted to emphasize in one thing. Please, you guys should take time, because the process that Dr. Edu put us in is a slow process that will pay off in a long, long way. If you guys want to join the PCI DSS, don't think that you just come today and then the week after you get hired somewhere. Take time and build your knowledge, and then you never regret. I'm in class with my mates and we are enjoying it. Every single week we are enjoying it. Thank you. That's what I wanted to share with you guys.
All right, thank you, Frank. So VETEC, our application is still in the pipeline. We actually heard from them today. We need to still submit some 1 or 2 documents and we will be done. And VETEC, we will be ready to accept VETEC. So we are almost there. It took us a little bit, but we are almost there. And for everybody who might not know VETEC, for veterans, the Department of Veteran Affairs, they have like a program, yeah, and VRAP as well. Yeah, Nana, VRAP as well. So they have a program where they are educating veterans to take tech jobs and to, go through tech training and take tech jobs. And they are not doing this training through the traditional education system, right? So if like traditional schools, like colleges and universities, they don't even qualify to participate in the VETech and VRAP programs. So it's just industry players like ourselves who are qualified to do it. So our application, we submitted almost like 7 months now, but just today, I heard from the lady who is in charge of our application, and we just need to submit some few other documents, and we should be good to go. Okay. All right. So Frank, and so TA, unfortunately, for now, like TA process is a bit lengthy, so we've not even started that yet. So for Emory, TA for active duty members, we wish we could take that, not currently at the moment. And also Frank is asking for military discounts. We can work that piece, Frank. That's too easy. We can work that piece. So Shungo, hopefully I got that right, is asking for those who do not have any experience in IT, would it be beneficial to study cybersecurity, IT fundamentals, as well as security plus before you begin the class? So my advice will be to get a foundation. So i.e. mostly through us, mostly our advice, for you to take our entry-level course, right? Because with the entry-level course, you can even start working, right? And then you can turn around and come and take the PCI. Because reason why I wouldn't just encourage you, hey, just jump into PCI, you should be good. Just like how Leon, like we were going back and forth. If anybody was listening, I mean, Leon has some experience. So for him, this is not going to be, it's just, moving from like one room to the other, right? But for somebody with totally zero experience, jumping into PCI is probably going to be, for Leo, it's like the rooms are built, like the house is built, you're just moving from one room to the other. For you, it's like there is like a playing field. You just have to start digging, build a foundation, build a house before you even get rooms to move from room to room, right? So, but it is not going to take you years to get there, right? You can, if you are really serious and you put in time. I always tell people it's not easy, but it's doable. If you want to dedicate time and effort, you should be able to be at a very good working pace in terms of building security knowledge in 3 months plus, and then you can jump into PCI if you like you so wish, right? Because but without any foundation, if you just jump straight into PCI, you can jump into it. Maybe you are very smart, memorize some stuff.
Yeah, pretty good.
You are good with interviews, be able to talk your way through and get a job. But what are you really going to do on the job? Now that is where the heart, like the headache and like the heart attack will set in, because every day you go to work on the edge, thinking, okay, so what is going to happen today, right? So, but if you have a very solid foundation and you took your time to really build a strong foundation, it's like building a skyscraper. You don't start building by building up, you start building by building down, right? I.e. digging and going really deep, making sure you have a really strong foundation before you start building up. Like building up is too easy, right? But digging and digging and digging, you'll be hitting stones, but once you take the patience and you build the foundation really well, like building up becomes very fast, right? And you are able to build faster, right? But if your foundation is very shallow and weak, when you build up, you are going to build that, it's just a matter of time till your building start collapsing, and all that work you put in is really going to go to waste. So for anybody with no background, our advice, start with our entry-level course. And if your path is to go to PCI, when you start, if you let us know, we can catch you some deal with the entry-level and the PCI. So you're not going to pay the full cost for this and the full cost for that. We can work something out for you on that side, right? But the entry level itself can just, there are a lot of people here with just the entry level working, making more than 6 figures, right? And some are not doing the PCI training. Some are coming back to do the PCI because their jobs require them to be PCI, expert. They are going to be in charge of the PCI program, right? So just the entry level will be enough for you to start working. So that will be my advice, right? So not just jumping straight into the course. We are not just here to sell a course. We are here to make sure you succeed, right? So our goal is not just either than that, and I'll just tell you, okay, just jump in. We will try and help you catch up. With no background, there is a lot of work that you have to do to be able to keep up, right? That is to keep up, not, to be above, but just to keep up. But even that, you have to do a lot of work on your own as well, right? So I hope that answers your question. So somebody was asking, depends on the states. However, MA is around 85 plus. Oh, okay. So price range. So for the country, right? Don't take my word for it. If you go to the Bureau of Statistics, Bureau of Labor Statistics, on there you can get the average salary for all jobs, right? When you look up information security analyst, average is I think 110, right? For starting off, like entry level pay for cybersecurity, it ranges, 90. Some people take 85. I think 85 is a bit on the low side. 90, 95, 100, depends on really how you really sell yourself, right? We have a student on here, Mike. I don't know if Mike was on here. So Mike just got offered a job. He didn't even interview. I think it was during one of their meetings. He works as a data technician. So he works at the data center technician, right? And during one of their interviews, not interviews, they are working on a project. They are doing some migrations. And during one of their meetings, right, their CISO, who is the Chief Information Security Officer, happens to be on the Zoom call. Mike didn't know, and he was just there venting his issues with security on what they were doing, right? Why this is vulnerable, just based on what he has learned so far, right? And once they were done, like the CISO calls Mike on the back end and asks, hey, like, do you do anything security? He's like, no, I'm just, I've just started learning and stuff. He's like, after this project, you consider yourself as employed on the security team, right? Starting pay 95 to 130. Right. And I think, I don't know what Michael is making now. Mike is making now, but 95 to 130. So how you bargain is really going to, and this is in the same company. So it's not like he went somewhere and he told them I have years of experience. He's in that company. He's been working as a data center technician. So they know him. Now they are picking him to the security team based on just what he was saying during their meetings, right? Identifying problems and like talking about like solutions and like giving solutions why this should be this, what, and he's not like part of the security team. So the CISO was like, I need this guy on my team, right? Because he's not just identifying problems and just talking about it, but he's providing, answers and how they could have done this and what frameworks they can use and what's that. And all that he was saying, most of it was from the internship they are not doing now, right? So most of the internship problems that they were encountering and solving, and we were guiding them through, and that landed him a job without even an interview. So when it comes to how much you can earn, I think anywhere above 90, but like the rest to get 110 or 120 will depend on you, right? How you bargain and how you, like how you pose and how you flex. Right? But sometimes don't flex too much because then you might not get it, right? Go ahead, ABK.
All right, thank you, Doc. It's me, Amma. So, Doc,
Amma.
yeah. So, Doc, does the PSI class, does it cover as well the curriculum? Does it cover the VCP payment system that most of the organizations are rolling out, like healthcare organizations are migrating to that form of payment? Does the curriculum also encompasses or covers that system as well or process?
So the program is not is vendor neutral, right? So we're not provided, like we are not promoting any specific product, but like if I understand what you're asking, right? You are going to learn how to do an assessment or how to implement the PCI requirements to include like whatever product or whatever software that you have, right? So you don't have to learn a specific like payment system or like payment gateway to be able to, because PCI framework is vendor neutral. It doesn't really, you know, push you in any corner to use any specific vendor. You can use any vendor, but you have to make sure that you stay in compliance with the requirements, right? So maybe probably for maybe people, you know, unlike Leo, who would not have maybe some analyst auditing, you know, background, with all the frameworks, ISO, SOC, COBIT, RMF, all of that, the genesis of the framework is this, right? Cybersecurity, and not just cybersecurity, but in every industry, we have to have some guidelines if we want to do an assessment of anything. Now, in cybersecurity, we have different guidelines, right? And when I say guidelines, I mean guidelines by the idea of guidelines, not the word guidelines. Because in governance, documentation, hierarchy, there's a difference between standards, frameworks, and guidelines, right? So please don't quote me on that, that I said frameworks are the same as guidelines. They are not in theory, but in terms of ideology, you know, you can consider them like that. So these are steps that different organizations, depending on what they want you to stay in compliance with, they will give you a list of things that you have to meet, right? So that is all that PCI is about. There's a list of requirements that organizations will have to meet. Now, meeting those requirements or understanding what needs to be done to meet those requirements, that is what we do in the course, right? For RMF, same thing, there's a list of things you have to meet. Meeting it is, you know, how to meet it is the training you get if you do an RMF training, right? So, and also for an auditor, when the auditor comes, they are going to really assess what you did to meet the requirement to, based on their judgment and experience, to say yes or no, you did meet it or you didn't meet it, right? But like the requirement is there, they will read it and they will interpret it based on their judgment, right? But like I was talking about with Leo, like some are straightforward, there is no ways around it if or what, but some are subjective based on the assessor's judgment. So mostly for organizations, before you employ an assessor, so let's say your company needs a QSA to come and do an assessment, right? You don't just pick any QSA, you have to interview at least 4 or 5 QSA companies to identify an assessor or a QSA company that you can work with, you know, who are reasonable. They are not going to cut you any slack, but they are reasonable, you know, I mean, you can work with them. You don't want a QSA who will be shifting the goalpost every time you score. Once you score, no, it wasn't that, I meant this. You score again, no, it was this. You don't want, you know, because like a person like that or a company like that, they are going to frustrate you. 2, during the interviews, you know whether the QSA is knowledgeable or not, because as an auditor, it's not my job to do, you know, hey, you know, catch you, you know, so like I'm not there to catch you, or I'm not there to catch you off guard. I'm not there to make sure you fail. I'm there to help do the assessment, point you in the right direction if you are failing, right? Advise you guys on some things, not necessarily tell you exactly what to do, but at least, you know, so if you are not meeting it, I can also interpret the requirement for you to understand it better. That way you guys it will click for you, right? Because there have been instances where I think, like I was talking to a lady in her organization, they did an assessment, it was her first time. The assessor was asking for stuff. I don't know the level of experience of the assessor, but then she didn't know who to ask in the organization for what. And the assessor couldn't point her in the right direction, right? Which I really don't think you should work with such an assessor. So let's say you are brand new, I'm doing assessment, you are the liaison, and I'm asking you, hey, give me the network diagrams, give me the data flow diagrams, and you don't know who to ask. Go ask the network people. I mean, like that is no trick or is not part of the requirement. I can just, like, it's not part of the assessment. I will point you to who normally will have that. So go ask them, right? But if I'm like, well, I don't know, you know, you should ask around, then it means I also don't know what I'm doing, right? So hopefully that answers the question I was addressing. All right.
Thank you.
Yes. So I think we are at a really good stopping point. I appreciate everybody's time. Please, our class is now open for enrollment now because we are doing online and then switching to live. But even during the online, we'll be doing live in between. But now you are not be limited. you are not going to be limited to how much you can consume in terms of content per week, right? And the hands-on is always going to be improved, and we are always going to make it more practical. It's very practical, but we're going to make it more practical as we are moving along, right? So I appreciate everybody's time. Go ahead, please. You had a question?
I can say something?
Say that again, please.
I can say something?
Yes, please go ahead.
So it's been almost a year. Every time I get the email, but I don't, I never have time to log in. I'm just happy that I logged in today because I was just sleeping and I just decided to just log in because I saw the email again. I'm currently at the DOD and at the Pentagon, and I'm looking because I've been hearing because I've been getting this email all the time, PSI, and just from the information that I'm getting today, and I remember the first time I got the email, I did the research about you, CISSP, everything, it's a lot of people that teach classes, right? But like, from the few stuff that you said, like right now, I'm confident to start planning to actually take your class, because of, like your credentials and just the few stuff that I just heard you say, because I'm very skeptical of classes that I take. I've taken only one class, one IT class, but just from the stuff that you say today, I know that anyone that go through your program is in good hand.
Yes, I appreciate it.
Okay,
thank you.
I'm very happy to finally see you and meet you, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. And also for everybody who missed the previous PCI discussions that we had, I'm just posting them in here. So please hold one and everybody will have it. But I just posted in, like I just posted our YouTube channel. So if you go to the YouTube channel, there are more stuff on there on all the cyber chats, like ones like this that we've had previously. So please do check it out. Our goal is to give you more information, about the industry, because you can never have, there's nothing like too much information, right? If some of the people on here who are already in the industry and working, they will tell you that you have to be a lifelong learner. So you can always pick something from somebody. So that is what we plan to do on the Fridays, right? But I appreciate everybody's time. The links will be sent out to everybody again via email, via WhatsApp. If you are not part of the new PCI WhatsApp group, please go ahead and join. We'll be posting in some interesting articles and some discussions should be going on there. So I appreciate everybody's time. It's Friday, but you chose to be here. Thank you very much also for everybody for your support. And we will meet again. So next week, unfortunately, we cannot meet again. Next week is my mom's funeral. We're doing it in New York. So we might also take next week off, but the week after next week, we are definitely going to meet again and, discuss. So our initial plan before this unfortunate, event happened to me and my family was for us to go through all the frameworks, at least touch on, almost all of it, explain what it is, and give you that exposure, right, for anybody, and also point you in the right direction of where to get more information on, because you never know when you're going to need that information. But still, we are going to continue that after this PCI wave, right? We will still be touching on other frameworks, and then we'll move on to a different topic. I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you very much. We'll meet again next 2 weeks. Next week, I'll be off because of the funeral. Okay. Thank you very much. And we'll be sending out emails with the replay. So have a great weekend and stay blessed.
Okay.